Certainly, I don't think Twitter is a good thing for my sanity. Twitter is so contentious. It's so, I mean, if you want a daily dose of hate, you can get it in 10 minutes on Twitter. You know, if I post something, you know, there's a number of comments about whatever I posted, and 1 out of 4 of them is brutally rude and obnoxious, as nasty as it can possibly be. And that's very, very common. And like, you know, people are quite sensitive to negative information. We're more sensitive to negative information than we are to positive information. And I'm not complaining. I don't have to use Twitter. It's a completely voluntary choice. And I'm certainly a massive beneficiary of the existence of social media. So I'm not complaining about it. I don't have a right to complain about it. But it exists in absolute contrast to my experiences in the world. Like, it's not like I'm walking down the street and 1 person out of 4 jumps out of an alley and like curses me. I haven't had a single negative interaction with an individual. That's not true. I met one really drunk woman in Dublin, and she called me a wanker. But she was quite the piece of work, though.
Was it
with a little timid husband by her side.
Was it after Conor lost? Maybe she was pissed off because
maybe
the UFC
she was.
fight.
But I've had thousands of interactions with individual people on the street, let's say, in airports and so forth, in the last 6 months, and every single one of them has been overwhelmingly positive. So that's reality. Then I go into Twitter and it's like, oh my God, it's just brutal.
Does it really bother you though? Do you really get bothered? And listen, all of us, you know, no one likes negative comments. Like right before this, Mario's sitting, I'm preparing my notes, and Mario's like, look at the 3 negative comments we got today. I'm like, Mario, I'm doing an interview. You're sitting here telling me. So obviously before doing something like this, but does it bother you a little bit when you read those negative comments?
Oh, definitely.
Really?
Oh, definitely. Well, look, when I was still working as a professor, I'm on unpaid leave at the moment. You know, I'd get my feedback from my students, and my feedback has been generally extraordinarily positive. So maybe there'll be 50 comments from students, and 3 of them will be negative, something like that, or 2, and often quite nasty, the negative ones. And you remember the negative ones, and that is what people are like. We're much more sensitive to negative, and the reason for that is negative things can kill you. Positive things can make you a little happier.
So going back to it, I guess what you are saying is with the social media platform, you saying from 1985, you didn't consume any content on TV outside of pure accident. There's no TV at your house. In the last 2 years, you've done it because social media, so you kind of have to be aware.
Yeah, I had to be on top of it.
Okay, so this is an interesting question. Are you happier now that you're consuming the content last 2 years, or do you find yourself being, man, I'm a little bit more anxious than I was 2 years ago. I was a little bit more peaceful.
way more anxious.
Really?
Oh, yes.
So are you thinking
more.
about going on a diet again from social media?
Well, no, not a. Look, it's complicated because my life has gone. I mean, my life was fairly broad. 2 years ago, I had a number of businesses. I had my clinical practice. I was working as a professor. I was writing. I was involved in lots of things. And so I had plenty to do, you know, but since then it's gone like this, and some of it's unbelievably good, and some of it's really, really bad. And so the breadth of it has extended. And so, like, there's no shortage of ridiculously positive things that are happening to me on an ongoing basis. I can't even believe it. But the same is true on the negative end. And so what's happened is the range of my emotional experience has expanded almost unbearably, I would say. So, and again, I'm not complaining about that because I could choose to do it differently. But some of this has also been a matter of management. It's like, it is literally the case that although it's been a little better over the last 3 or 4 months, for about 18 months in a row, I was at the center of a scandal that could have taken me out at least twice a week. So constant, non-stop scandal of one form or another. And so that took a lot of juggling and management to see what was going on. And I was paying attention to social media and trying to figure out how to respond in the press and on YouTube and on my blog and all of these sorts of things, trying to learn how to do that. And so it's been an obsessive learning experience, let's say. YouTube has served me very, very well. My blog works out very well for me. The podcast, I have a podcast, it's very popular. That's worked out really well. Facebook, I don't pay much attention to Facebook, although I post on it. Twitter, that's something else. Twitter is, vicious, I don't know what to do with Twitter. I don't know what to do with Twitter. I think I go back and forth. I go back and forth. You know, there's a part of me that there's people I keep up with on Twitter, the people I follow, some of these IDW types, so to speak. You know, I see what Shapiro's posting, I see what Brett Weinstein's posting, and Sam Harris, and I kind of keep in the loop that way. And I feel a moral obligation to keep up. And I have 900,000 followers, and I feel an obligation to them too. But there's also this addictive curiosity, you know, that what's happening. And I tried to pull myself away from that on the TV news, because it's the same thing except in much less concentrated form. And it was good for me. And I do think if it's only important today, it's not important. Right? If it's news, it doesn't matter if you don't know about it for a week.
That's powerful.
It's still news. But I still haven't figured out how to completely deal with all this social reach I have at my fingertips. I don't know exactly how to manage it.
You feel there's an addiction to, because you know that's the whole thing with social media, addiction to feel like you are committed to seeing what everybody else is doing because it's a part of loyalty. Like, I got to be loyal to them, and I kind of feel like they've been loyal to me. You
Yeah.
feel there's some of that going on?
Oh, there's definitely some of that,
That's
but
tough,
there's also like I am insatiably curious about things, and
Yeah.
so Twitter is terrible for that because it's just continual hits of information. So
I'm sure. Yeah, I mean, if you're talking reading a book a day and you all of a sudden have all this information to your hands, like, what is this? What's going on over here? What about this? Oh my gosh, what's it? So you can get really caught up with that.
Yes.
And that's starting to happen a lot with social media.